Fairly often, students will ask me, does God actually hear my prayers? Or does God answer my prayers? And how would I know if he did? Like, this is a common experience a lot of us deal with. And there's a great movie scene from a movie called Bruce Almighty that kind of looks at this situation. Now, to kind of set the stage for this scene, the title character, Bruce Nolan, he's had a really bad day. He's been fired from his job, he got beat up, he had this massive fight with his girlfriend. And so he goes out for a drive, and this is what happens.
You want me to talk to you?
Then talk back. Tell me what's going on.
What should I do? Give me a signal.
I need your guidance, Lord. Please send me a sign.
Now, technically speaking, God answered those prayers. He asked for a signal, he asked for a sign, he got a signal, and he got a whole truck full of signs. He just wasn't tuned into those sorts of replies, those sorts of responses. And when he crashes his car shortly after that moment, well, his response is something we might sympathize with.
You're the one who should be fired! The only one around here not doing his job is you! Answer me!
But I think the problem starts from the fact that most of us learned all that we know about prayer at a very young age. A lot of us, when we were young, we were taught how to pray, pre-written prayers. Prayers like the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father, prayers like the Hail Mary and the Rosary, which are wonderful, beautiful prayers. We learned very young that we should pray for other people. We should ask for things, which is a good and wonderful and laudable thing to do. But the problem is, for most of us, that's it. That's all that we ever learned about prayer. And so when you hear a statement from Saint Therese of Lisieux, who says, "For me, prayer is the surge of the heart. It is a simple look turned toward heaven. It is a cry of recognition and love, embracing both trial and joy." Now, Saint Therese obviously had a head start that a lot of us don't benefit from. Her parents are also canonized saints. Her sisters also went into religious life. And so the idea of growing in prayer was part of her day-to-day life from the time she was very young. But here's the thing. What she achieved is something that's available to all of us. In fact, it's something we're all supposed to achieve. We're all supposed to level up and deepen our prayer. But how do you do that? Well, the UCAT says prayer thrives on faithfulness. In other words, one of the most important things that we can do when it comes to prayer is to be consistent about it. Now, most of us are really good at that. We're good at consistently doing nothing when it comes to prayer. But that's not going to help you level up. If you want to level up, you need to take on something, and I would say something simple, something you can commit to, something you can do every day. Examples of this: pray an Our Father, pray Hail Mary, read a chapter from the Bible, maybe a chapter from the Gospels. Maybe you're somebody who can freestyle a little bit. Maybe having a conversation with God. I'd suggest the acronym praise, ask, and listen is a good place to start with that. Think of something you're thankful for and praise. Thank God for that. Think of something you need and ask God for that. But then take a moment and just listen to God. Now, whatever it is, this is not the sort of thing that's going to take you hours and hours and hours. In fact, it's the sort of thing you can probably do in 2 or 3 minutes. But I'll tell you, if you can commit to 2 or 3 minutes every day, even if you can do it a couple times a day, at the start of the day and at the end of the day, if you can commit to a couple of minutes of talking and listening to God, this is the simplest path towards leveling up in prayer. And so what you do to remind yourself, set an alarm in your phone. Put a Bible or a rosary on your pillow so that when you go to bed, you're like, oh yeah, I was going to do this every single day. And if you can stick with it, if you can have a commitment towards prayer, to developing this prayer life in yourself, well, I'll warn you. First of all, you're going to feel like you're talking to yourself. If you can persevere through that feeling, what you're going to find is that you're going to want to do it a little bit more. Maybe it's not just an Our Father or a Hail Mary, it becomes an Our Father and a Hail Mary. Maybe it's not just one chapter from the Gospels, it's a chapter from the Gospels and a moment of talking and listening to God. And all of a sudden, 2 or 3 minutes becomes 5 minutes a couple times a day. But what you're doing in this moment is you're teaching your heart to turn towards God. And what you'll find is that God starts to answer. Now, in my lifetime of prayer, I've never heard God speak to me in a booming voice. Morgan Freeman has never appeared in front of me and told me he was God.
I'm God.
But God has certainly answered. and the way in which you tune and you become more aware of the signals and the signs around you, the ways in which God answers, well, it's doing exactly this. It's making the space, it's making the time for God, so that in turn that we establish a deep and a vibrant relationship with the God who is love. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have a question or a suggestion for a future topic, hop on over to mikeisthird.com, send me a message. God bless you all.